The night I opened my gate, I didn't just let in a soaked woman and her boy. I cracked open the life I'd spent 40 years locking down. And yeah, the papers called me the Ice King, or the guy who'd never been touched. But that storm didn't care what they called me. It just kept hammering Ridgeline House until the intercom buzzed, and I saw Elena and Nico shivering under a busted umbrella, and I heard myself say, "Follow the drive. I'll meet you at the door." Inside towels and a radiator hissed the big old place, smelling like wet wool and lemon polish. And I do the one thing I know how to do. I make space point to the long walnut table, call for soup, try not to stare at the kid, tracing rain lines on the window with his finger. Then he pads down the carpet, looks me dead in the eye and asks, "Are you my dad?" And I cough so hard I nearly wear my wine, Elena laughing, apologizing me, waving it off, like it's nothing. When really the question lands like a small warm weight. I don't know how to carry, you know what I mean. Morning hits different. There's bacon and coffee already done, not by staff, but by Elena in loner clothes, sleeves rolled, that unbothered hum in her throat that makes marble feel like home. And Nico is a one-boy parade asking why rich people keep rooms they never sit in if the chandelier is made of rain. Whether I have toys, and I tell him not yet. So we make our own, a tennis ball from a dusty drawer, becomes catch in the courtyard. A telescope that sat like art finally points at a sky he insists is breathing. And Mrs. Doyle, who runs my house like a symphony, hides a smile when she sees me laughing at a 6-year-old's frog census by the conservatory glass. And for the first time in years, the echo in my head softens to something like music I don't recognize but want to learn. I tell Elena the truth about the rumor mill, not because she asked, just because her eyes don't flinch, and she says everybody's on their own clock. Shame only grows if you feed it. And it's strange how one sentence can open a window in a house that has 100. Then the doorbell cuts dinner in half, and a courier hands me an envelope with her name inside, block letters. Scratch like claws. I know where you are. You can't hide what's mine. I'm coming for both, signed by the ghost. She hadn't named yet, Victor Crane, and the temperature in the room drops fast. Nico is sent to fetch his rocket. We step into my study where the wood is old and the doors are thick, and I ask. Tell me, and she does too. Young when they married, the charm curdled into fists, a night run with a boy in her arms, a road of shelters and cheap motels, and I feel something old in me stand up, not the money part, the animal part that remembers being underestimated, and I hit the intercom, Hendricks, triple the patrols, seal the gate. Nobody breathes on this property without a choir singing. And he says, yes, sir, but danger doesn't care how many cameras a man buys. It looks for the hairline cracks. We try a town run anyway, because the kid needs jeans and pancakes, and Tilly's diner smells like butter and brown sugar. Folks whisper, not mean, just shocked to see me out with company that isn't a board and a binder. And we come home in golden light, carrying groceries and a little paper kite. And there's another envelope on the floor. A photo of Elena and Nico through the diner window, faces circled in red, and the old house turns into a fortress. In one breath, feeds blinking on every screen, my jaw tight. Her hands shaking over a pot of stew until I say, H me, keep me busy, or I'm going to rip the door off, waiting for them. And we cook like a team. She fixes my knife grip, laughs at my obsession. With exact teaspoons, Nico crowns himself. Head of dessert with frosting on his nose, and I swear the kitchen exhales. Even the copper pans seem to glow a shade warmer. After dinner, the boy blurts, "Can you be my dad forever?" And it hits so pure, I have to sit down. Elena starts to apologize, and I tell her, I'm not sad, I'm just out of practice at joy. Then, later in the rose garden, her hand in mine, I say, what I never say, you brought the house back to life, I want you here, and I see. Yes, rising in her eyes when tires chew the gravel, and 3 black SUVs show up at the gate like bad weather men in stiff suits, one holding papers like a shield. The speaker spitting, "We're here for Elena Cruz. Return the property she stole or we'll come take it." And I move fast, put Elena and Nico in the safe room. Tell them don't open for anyone. But my voice call the cops. Watch the men slink off when sirens slice the dark and think we survived the worst. Until the worst shows up inside me because fear's a ventriloquist, and it uses your voice, and I ask about the word property, and she says, "Men like Victor think wives and sons are things." And I want to let that be enough, but my old ghosts want receipts, I press. She pulls words sharpen, and she says, "Don't turn kindness into an audit." And that lands like a verdict, so she packs quietly. And at dawn, I'm stuck at the upstairs window as the 2 people who filled these halls with good noise walk down the curve and out the gate, and yes, I let them go because fear freezes faster than ice, and yeah, that happened. For 48 hours, I try to be the man the papers wrote, the one who can't be touched, and the echo comes back with teeth, so I take my keys, and I hunt shelters with coffee breath angels, motels with flickering signs, a church pantry where the volunteer calls me sweetie without caring about zeros. And finally, I find them under a broken streetlight with a station wagon that coughs when it breathes. Elena sees me and stiffens, says I shouldn't be there. And I say, I can't go back to a house that quiet after you showed me what living sounds like. She says it's better this way, you deserve simple. I come with alarms. And then Nico says my name like he's checking if I'm real. And I just break, I drop to my knees in a suit that should have been retired to a closet years ago. I say I messed up. I pushed when I should have held. I'm scared of being used, but more scared of being empty. Take the house, take my name, take my plain, boring heart. Just don't take that hum out of my library. And her hand flies to her mouth, and hope is an animal that startles easy. And that's when floodlights bleach the lot, and doors slam, and Victor walks out with a smile that wants you to count his dental work, says, the Ice King begging on asphalt. Elena, come home. Time to return. What's mine? And I put my body between them, because sometimes math is moral. And the formula says, block the path to the kid he swings. I've boxed enough to know you never win pretty, but you can lose honest. The first shot rings my jaw, the second I parry. The third I return with interest. A goon grabs my collar and I drop, and flip him the way Hendrix taught me shoes, sliding on oil curses, blood police sirens like a hymn cuffs clicking. Victor's still mouthing off as he goes metal to metal, and Elena runs to me saying, I'm bleeding, and I tell her she's safe, and it's the first time those 2 sentences feel like the same one. Morning makes liars of nights, but I show up anyway, lip split, heart stapled together with stubborn, I say, come home. Not as guests, as family. And she looks at Nico, then me, then the sky, like she's checking God's weather report. And the kid bounces, asks, for real, forever, and I say if that's what you want. Yes, so we drive back to Ridgeline, and I unroll blueprints on the long table I used to eat at. Alone, I show them the East Wing playroom, the shelves, the craft corner, the study for Elena, because she once said she wanted to tutor kids who feel behind a kitchen that's more Sunday than museum. And life starts to taste like warm bread and new paint, like stepping on Lego and laughing anyway, like reading the same chapter twice because someone fell asleep halfway through, like a sign on a construction fence that says Beacon House. A shelter for families who need a light, no donors list, no press conference, just a door with a lock that works and a table where soup stays hot. And yeah, the internet did what it does, headlines about billionaires and single moms, half the comments, hearts, half knives, words like power, imbalance, and savior. complex, thrown like rocks from a distance. Victor's lawyers filed civil nonsense. We fought that too, and through it, Nico asked me to help make a volcano explode on purpose, and Elena asked if I could taste her grandmother's stew and tell her if the salt was right. And I learned that I built a house with money, but I'm building a home by listening one chore, one bedtime, one apology at a time. Are we married? Not yet. We talk about it in the soft hours when his sock is half off and a book is on his chest. And some nights I sit in the library just to hear Elena's hum drift in from the kitchen, like a radio station. You only get when your heart is tuned right. And some mornings I still feel the echo creep, and I have to remind myself that trust is a muscle. It shakes when you use it, but shaking isn't breaking, you know what I mean. If you were expecting a bow, here's what I can give tonight. Nico asked if he can keep calling me Dad, and I said yes, and it felt like signing a contract with my own soul tomorrow. We walk into court, and a judge will decide a motion that could change everything or nothing, and people will cheer or spit, and that's life in a place where everyone gets a say. But if you're asking me what counts as rescue and what crosses a line, I'll tell you this, and I pressed the button on the gate, and I'd press it again, maybe faster, because some storms aren't warnings, they're invitations. Tell me what you think in the comments. Did I do right or wrong? Does money poison love, or can it finally be useful? Where have you seen real justice show up in messy clothes? And if you were standing at that intercom on a night like that, would you open the gate or turn out the lights?